Welcome to Troublemaker and Bass Players. I'm your host, Listener, and today we're going to talk about Interstate Love Song. Now, when I was in my teens, grunge rock was becoming a huge phenomenon. Scott Weiland wrote the song about his relationship troubles and growing heroin addiction. When he wrote the song, he thought about what kind of a liar he had become toward his fiancée, Janina Castaneda, and how he promised to stay off drugs when they went to Atlanta to record Stone Temple Pilots' second album, Purple. He didn't keep that promise, and phone calls would tell Janina that everything was okay. The song was written from Janina's perspective, with Weiland imagining her saying right through his lies. Like many Stone Temple Pilots songs, the title is not mentioned in the lyric. It was an interstate love in the literal sense because Scott Weiland wrote it in Atlanta while his fiancée was back in California. The band's bass player, Robert DeLeo, wrote the music to the song. He says it started out as a bossa nova. To play up the liar theme, the music video features a man who emerges into a modern day from a silent film and finds his nose growing throughout the clip. Kevin Kerslake, who also did the STP video for Vaseline, was the director. Interstate Love Song was one of Stone Temple's biggest songs, in my personal opinion one of the best. It was huge on various alternative radio stations that were cropping up in the 90s, and it also got a lot of airplay on top 40 stations, where it shared space on playlists were a little bit more softer than the grunge bands. At the time, the band's likes of Jim Blossoms and Sheryl Crow. The band's songs weren't sold as singles in the United States, which encouraged album sales. Their label, Atlantic Records, still meticulously promoted the singles to radio stations in an effort to keep Stone Temple Pilots on the airwaves as long as possible. Purple went to number 1 soon after it was released in 1994, where it stayed for 3 weeks. Big Empty was the first single, peaking at number 50 on the Billboard Airplay charts on July 1994. The album Purple, which was released in 1994, ended up number 18 in the United States charts and number 53 in the British charts. Stone Temple Pilots was one of the bigger bands at the time. The sad part about this being released in 1994, and in 2015 in Bloomington, Minnesota, Scott Weiland died on December 3rd. He was 48 years old and had been on tour with the Wildabouts. The band's scheduling gig that evening, nearby Edina, had been canceled several days earlier. Though they were still planning to play the next night at the Rochester, police searched the tour bus and confirmed that there were small amounts of cocaine in his bedroom, where Weiland was discovered dead. Despite the discovery of drugs, no underlying cause of death was immediately given. The medical examiner later determined Weiland's death was the result of an accidental overdose of cocaine, alcohol, and MDA. Unfortunately, Scott Weiland's addiction manifested throughout his career from 1994, when he was writing about it, till all the way to 2015, for over 20 years. Thank you for listening. I am your host, The Listener, and this has been Troublemakers and Bass Players.